Good morning, and Sat Sri Akal Sarenu. My name is Justina Ajla, and I'm so grateful to be here today. What a wonderful start to my day. I am a second-generation settler of Punjabi ancestry, born and raised on the Tsleil-Waututh, Stolo, and Musqueam territories known as Vancouver, BC. So I am West Coast, so it is still morning for me. And while I am blessed to have grown up in such a quiet and calm community, it would be disingenuous to identify it as home without acknowledging the history and the people who this land really belongs to. I'm aware of the opportunity I have to be an active and curious learner and bringing my learnings to my family members and members of my community who do not know about the history of these lands. Kitsilano takes its name after a Squamish First Nations chief who people were displaced by local government in 1901. At the time, the area was a dense forest, but an attractive one to occupy its flat land, proximity to train and water, and the prospective popularity of Vancouver as a city. The story of the Squamish chief and the role of the government is unfortunately a common one. In addition to Kitsilano, UBC has been an integral part of my life. First, UBC is close to home, a 10-minute drive from the house I was born in. Secondly, as a student of UBC, and finally as a staff at UBC. When reflecting on my life, I realize that I'm connected to the Musqueam peoples in many ways, and I understand that I have been the beneficiary of a land that has never belonged to me. I have benefited from the crisp air of UBC forests, brisk walk of the trails that extend through them, and cold water from the seas that bank our beaches. Until recently, I've not given my full appreciation for the land I inhabit and the people whose sacrifice has been my bounty. I must respect, consider, and reflect on the history that exists here. In sharing my beginnings, I invite you to all consider your roots and acknowledge the land that you occupy today. Thank you.
Thank you, Justina. That was beautiful. Amazing. I love that line acknowledgement. So it's great to be here live on Facebook and YouTube for this special week at DWF Live. My name is Nancy Desiree Holman, and I'm the Reconciliation Coordinator for the Gord Downey and Channy Fund. We are so excited for today's interview, who's a beautiful person. I know on a personal level myself, and just love her. The beautiful singer, songwriter, and author Becky Hahn will be joining us in just a few minutes. As you're tuning in, please post a comment below so we know where you're joining us from. We'd love to see where you're all coming from. Just like I said, put it into the chat area, and we'd really love to see where you're coming from today. Inspired by Channy's story and Gord's call to build a better Canada, the Gord Downey and Channy Wenjack Fund aims to build cultural understanding and create a path towards reconciliation between Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples. Our goal is to improve the lives of Indigenous people by building awareness, education, and connections between all peoples in Canada. We are broadcasting live every day this week at 10 a.m., 12 p.m., and 2 p.m. Eastern Time as part of Secret Path Week. Secret Path Week is a national movement commemorating the legacies of Gord Downey and Channy Wenjack, and it takes place annually October 17th to 22nd. This is a meaningful week as October 17th and 22nd respectfully marks the dates that Gord Downey and Channy Wenjack joined the spirit world. We call on all people in Canada to use a Secret Path Week to answer Gord's call to action, to do something. By creating reconciliation and furthering the conversation about the history of residential schools. We have a jam-packed week planned with powerful speakers, amazing artists, and be sure to check out our history of residential schools as well, and our websites on downeywenjack.ca/DWF live and register for our events. It's great to see so many classrooms are here with us today. Please continue to use the chat. Let us know where you're joining from, like I said earlier, and share any thoughts and comments that come up during today's DWF Live. Later in the broadcast, we're going to switch over to a Q&A where we all take all your questions and answer all the questions. Becky's going to have fun answering all those questions out there. I know she will. Beautiful lady. We will take part in any way possible to make Gord's call to action happen. Let's do something. So both from our camera classrooms and from the live chat today, I have the pleasure of introducing the beautiful Becky Hahn.
Goedenamiddag. Thank you, Nancy, and thank you, DWF, for inviting me, and for all the classrooms tuning in and inviting me virtually into your classrooms. I really appreciate it. I'm so happy to be here because I get to do something that I genuinely love doing, which is talking about my culture, and that is the Inuit culture. I am Inuk. If there was 3 of me, you'd say Inuit, but because there's just one of me today, we're going to say Inuk. I am an Inuk, and I grew up in a place that is not here because I'm currently on Treaty 6 territory, also known as Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. I'm a visitor here. I did not grow up here. I grew up in a place where there are polar bears, narwhals, and a place that's pretty close to the North Pole, and that is Nunavut. And Nunavut means our land, Nunavut. I grew up in a beautiful little community in Nunavut called Arctic Bay. And this land that I grew up on is called the land of the midnight sun because during the summertime, even if it's midnight, even if it's the middle of the night, it never gets dark. It doesn't get dark. It's bright as day up until November, where it starts getting darker and the sun goes off to sleep, and we don't see it again until the first week of January. And during that first week of January, you finally see that little sliver of light come out. It's a cause for celebration. We'll all meet on the ice because in Arctic Bay, you're surrounded by a bay. So you would go down onto the ice, all the community members, and we would celebrate the return of the sun through games, traditional Inuit games, through songs and storytelling, which has been a big part of my upbringing. Growing up, music was a huge part because in Inuit culture, storytelling is a huge part of it. That's how we preserve and keep our history alive, is through storytelling, through verbal storytelling, oral history. And one of the ways that we tell stories is through throat singing. Maybe some of you have heard it. Unfortunately, I cannot throat sing. I wish I could, but it takes a special kind of talent. There is also traditional Inuit songs that we call pisit or ayaya songs. And these were composed and written by our ancestors as a way of keeping stories alive, telling each other stories, or just for entertainment. So I'd like to share just a snippet of a Ayaya song, or a traditional Inuktitut song. And this was written by a man long, long ago. And he is talking about the unbelievably freezing winter months, the type of cold that chills your bones that you cannot warm back up from, because it was during a time where Inuit were nomadic, where they traveled and followed the animals that follow the season. And because that's when Inuit would live in igloos or snow houses. So this is a story he wrote about the frigid, unbearable cold that you cannot shake. And they didn't have guitars back then, so I'm putting a modern twist on it. He sang this just with his voice, no instruments, and it's called Qiyavik, and it means to be so, so cold. I hope you guys can hear that all right. And that was a Ayaya song. And remember, I mentioned he had written this during a time where Inuit still lived in snow houses in the winter and in sod houses in the summer. So in the winter, in an igloo, you didn't have electricity. You didn't have running water. You didn't have heat, like from what you might have today in a modern home, right? So I'll quickly show this. I want to show it in case you haven't seen one before. And this was a very important part of Inuit culture because it kept you alive. And this is just a display one. It's not a real one, but this is called a qudliq, an oil lamp. And you would store the oil here, oil from blubber, whether that's from seal, narwhal, whatever has blubber, it would be here. And you would have cotton as the wick all along here. And so you would have this little flame. And this little flame is what kept you warm. It was your source of heat to cook your food. It was your source of light in an igloo. And I think it's just so amazing. This is just for display. And before I share another Ayaya song, I want to share just a couple of things while we're showing you some traditional stuff. This is also a multi-use tool. You might have seen this somewhere online, maybe photos, maybe some in real life, but this is called the uru or ulu, depending on your dialect. And they come in different shapes and sizes, depending what you want to use them for. You could, they're used for sewing, cutting pelts and skins, cutting up meat. So I am not a seamstress. I just use this for cutting up food, or when I get traditional food from back home, I'll use it. But yeah, I just wanted to share that little bit. And I'll get back to talking about storytelling and music. And I was talking about Ayaya songs. So that the one that I just sang for you is considered traditional. It's older. It's history. It's part of our history. It's important. And there's another Ayaya song that's a little more modern. I grew up, as a little girl, I grew up hearing this, listening to this song. And it's a fun little story between an owl and a raven. And that's the name of the song, The Owl and the Raven. And it tells the story of their friendship. They're very good friends. And they decide to decorate each other. And mind you, in the story, the raven is white. He was never black. He was a white raven. And they decide to paint each other. And the raven becomes so impatient and annoying and rude, and he can't sit still because the owl's trying to paint him, that the owl finally gets fed up and so annoyed that he takes the bucket of black paint and pours it all over the raven. And that's why today the raven is black. I don't know, you guys might get crows. Maybe you get ravens too, but ravens back in Nunavut, they're enormous. They're enormous. They're huge. They're huge. So this is called The Owl and the Raven. Oop, big jock, Durugalo. And again, I'll just sing a snippet of it because it's a little long, because it's a story. Oop, big jock, Durugalo, Birhannerik, Bayumatik, Aya. Ya, 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 ya. Aya, aya, ya. Aya, ya. Aya, ya. Aya. Ya, 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 ya. Inugam no koveashutik, bingo apayong matik, aya. Ya, 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 ya. And again, that's just a little modernized twist to it. But growing up, music was always around, whether that was in my home, listening to my dad playing his records, listening to my mom singing on her own guitar, to what you learned in school. And this song, The Owl and the Raven, is for children, and it's meant to teach you of patience. And it always resonated with me because it meant so much to me. I really loved it. And so growing up, I always had this little dream that I would maybe one day get to write my own songs for other kids. And I am lucky enough where I have been able to do this using social media, because I'm not in my home territory. I am in my home in Saskatchewan, but through social media, I still get to share Inuktitut songs, various videos talking about Inuit culture, and also to learn from others, where I get to find other Inuit content creators that I might have never been able to find on my own. So I love sharing educational pieces, but I'm also learning at the same time. And through this, I was able to write one of my children's songs called Karak. And I get to sing the song to kids and teach them what the word means, Karak, why we might use this word because this word is believed to be special in that it scares away bumblebees. So if you're not a fan of bees and you want it to go away, we're told that if you say kara, 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 the bee goes away. So I based a song off of that. I wanted to write a song about a little girl from Arctic Bay, Nunavut, who ends up running across the entire territory just to get away from a bee. And I wanted kids to pick up the book and say, wait a minute, this is about where I live or where I'm from, or this is my community being mentioned in the book. And that's my favorite part, is just creating options when I'm creating, when I'm sharing Inuktitut songs or Inuktitut related content. I want kids to have that option. You can go to YouTube, you can go to Google, and you can find anything under the sun that is in English. But when it comes to Indigenous languages, there can always be more. There should be more. And so I do my tiny part in trying to provide a small part of that. So my song, Kara, we were able to turn it into a children's book thanks to Inhabit Media. And we called it The Bee. And so I get to read this and then sing it. And then usually I tell kids, there's more than one way to tell a story. And so we read it and sing it in 2 different languages, which is English and Inuktitut, which is what I'll do. We're going to read it in English and then sing it in Inuktitut. So this is called The Bee, and written by Becky Hahn, illustrated by Tinder Peters. And Tinder Peters did an amazing job drawing all the beautiful photos. I actually sent him photos that you'll see the pictures in the book that exist in Nunavut. So, The Bee by Becky Hahn, illustrated by Tinder Peters. So, it starts off with a little girl named Apita in Arctic Bay. I was happy being outdoors with nothing to worry about. Then I heard something that startled me, you see. So I knelt down on my knees and I prayed, "Someone please help me." And then I heard someone say, "Apita." Bzz, bzz, bzz. You guys know who that is. It's the bee. So Apita now has to say that special magical word that will scare away the bee. And that's kara, kara, kara. Oh, that darn bee. Kara, kara, kara. I started crying. Kara, kara, kara. No wonder she's crying. Look how huge he is. He's bigger than Apita. So what does Apita start doing? She starts running. I started running really fast. There I went. Poof! I was gone. I kept running for 3 whole days, and I ended up in a different community. I asked, "Where am I?" And someone replied, "Egg." That's like, oh, geez. Egg, you're in Igloolik. While I was resting, I was startled once again because I heard someone say, "Apita, wait for me." Bzz, bzz, bzz. So, what does Apita say? That special magical word. She has to say, "Kara, kara, kara." Oh, that darn bee. Kara, kara, kara. I started crying. Kare, kare, kare. The bee doesn't even look bothered. He's just looking at the pretty purple flowers that you actually see all across Nunavut. And they're actually edible. They're sweet and yummy. So Apita's screaming and freaking out again, yelling. And what does she do? She ends up running. I started running really fast. There I went. Poof! I was gone. This time, I kept running for 5 whole days, and I ended up in another community again. 5 days. I think it's because of her super running shoes that she can run for 5 days. So now she's in the next town, a town that has this huge inuksuk, a man-made structure made of stones to look like a man. That's what an inuksuk is. And this community has it. So I asked, where am I? And someone replied, oh, my Lord. Again, that's like, oh, geez, too much, geez. My Lord, you're in Rankin Inlet. While I was resting, I was startled once again. And I heard, Apita, I won't hurt you. Oh, and you'll see the little bee is always somewhere in the picture trying to catch up. So he's saying, wait, I'm not bad. I'm good. I won't hurt you. I'm nice. So Apita says, hey, bumblebee, bzz, bzz, bzz. Come here, come here, come here, dear little bee. Come here, come here, come here. I'm not afraid of you. And if you see the pictures of the houses, you'll see these also in communities across Nunavut. And even like the little quads, the four-wheelers, and the jerry cans. So now she's saying, hold up. You're nice. Okay, come here. I'm not afraid of you. So instead of her screaming, crying, yelling, and running, she stopped to listen to what the bee's been trying to say this whole time. And he's trying to say, I'm actually your friend. I want to be your friend. So Apita says, oh, come here, come here, come here. We'll play together outside all day. And you can probably tell that it would be summertime there. No snow. The water isn't ice, and it's bright. So that was my favorite thing to do in the whole wide world growing up, which was playing outside. And that was the bee. And I think I'm being told it's Q&A. Okay, before we do Q&A, remember I said there's more than one way to tell a story. So we read this, we heard a story through a book in English, and now we're going to hear that same story through a song in a different language. And even if you don't understand Inuktitut, you're still going to recognize some of the key words we were saying, which is that special magical word, karak. And maybe you'll even hear the name Apita being said in the song. And the song is called Karak. Anirayek llunga, povesut der llunga, isumayo ngiter llungayo, tusarik bunga, koksak lang naktumik, sikoktok llunga, tupsak bunga, ikayok daw roll lang akiuyaw bunga. Apita, bzz, bzz, bzz. Hare, 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 rigotaruna. Hare, 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 resibunga. Hare, 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 ulaksibunga. Sukayorung, tauba pututu. Ulay naklunga, ulunik pingasunik, tikiw tilapunga, apere bunga, nanile mga uma, kiwyaw bunga, ek iglure, takar sertilunga, kuksaklari bunga. Ukama apita utakige bzz 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 hara 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 igutakaruna hara 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 resibunga hara 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 ulaksibunga sukayo tauba pututu ulay naklunga ulunik dalimanik tikiw tilapunga apere bunga nanile mga uma kiwyaw bunga may loa kangyaksine takasirtilunga kuksaklari bunga ukama apita pitartunga kiwara igutta bzz 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 kaigi 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 igutta kuru kaigi 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 kapeging ilagi kaigi 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 tingwang nearanu anirayagno uluhima. And that was Karak. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, you're muted, Nancy.
I can sit here and listen to you all day, Becky. Beautiful storytelling, beautiful music, great for the children to listen to this today. Just amazing, amazing. I'm just looking to see if there's any questions that you have, Becky. But while I'm doing that, I do have one of my own. It's about your book, The Bee. Where can they order this book on Amazon? Can they go to any bookstore? Can you maybe share a little bit with us where this book can be ordered, please? Thanks. You're muted, Becky.
Yes, yes, yes. All of it. You can go to most bookstores. You can go to Inhabit Media's website. You can go to Amazon. You can go to Chapter's website. You can basically find it anywhere.
Excellent. So do you do a lot of performing around Alberta? Do you go back to Nunavut and do some shows up there, Becky? And if there's any type of events you have coming up, where can we find those?
No. Before COVID, there was some traveling, and then COVID put a whole stop to it. And that's where I really got active on social media. So it's finally, you're getting more invites now to do in-person stuff. So hopefully we can make it work and do a few shows in person, which will be so nice. This is nice too, but you get that, it's a different feeling when you're in person. And
I totally agree with you, Becky, because you end your song so beautifully, you tell your story so beautifully, and I wanted to clap. I'm over here. I was clapping, but I mean, it's just like, where's that that crowd interaction, right? But you did beautiful, and it was wonderful. And like I said, this is something that is really important of how you are bringing in your music in a crucial education tool. I'm reading a little bit of the bio piece here, how you compose your songs in Inuktitut, like beautiful, beautiful language. I've been to your communities, to many Nunavut communities, and honestly, it's just beautiful. And the language is beautiful. People are beautiful, and and you're being active on a social media platform, and you share your learnings about the Inuit culture. The ulu you bought out, and it just like I'm kind of speechless here because it's just great. I love it all. You know what I mean? And and the teachings that you today that you brought in for us to learn a little bit of. And that's awesome. And like the classrooms out there and the kids out there that have that little bit of knowledge that you gave them today, and I'm really thankful for that. And I'm just seeing if there's any questions coming in. Just let me check and see. At this time, I don't see any questions, Becky. But oh wait, what is your favorite traditional food? There's a question.
Oh, that's so hard. I have lots of favorites. I would say either makdak, which is the skin and blubber of a narwhal, and it's a seafood. So you can eat it however you prefer it. You could boil it, you could bake it, you could broil it, eat it raw, which is what I prefer. So it's either makdak or caribou. I like caribou too.
Beautiful. All right. I think we have some more questions coming up, but is there any way I can get them to be displayed on my screen, ladies, so I can get them out there for Becky? Because I think Becky has quite a few questions. So, Mrs. P, are you planning to write another book, Becky?
Yes. I have a whole bunch of stories that I would love to have turned into books. And not all of them would be, young children's books such as this, because this is more of a picture book for, pre-K to grade 4 or 5. So, yes, I think there's so many stories that can be told about Inuit and Inuit culture.
So, Keenan Sparks, what is your favorite Inuit sport or song?
Oh, that's a good question. That's funny. We were just talking about Inuit's traditional sports yesterday, and there is one that is strength-based and would be played during get-togethers. And I'll try to explain it as best as I can. It's between two people, and you're both laying flat on your back, and you both lift up your one leg, and you're trying to throw the other person over with your leg, if that makes sense. That's a fun one. And Inuktitut song. There's so many. I'll be cheesy and choose my own song, which is original song. It was the very first one I ever wrote. So that holds a special place in my heart. That's an awesome question. Thank you.
Okay, I have another question just popping up. I think you can read it there, Becky, as well, but I'll read it. As many youth are not taught traditional languages, what impact do you home these creative tools will have within the education system? In your opinion, why is sharing language so important?
Yeah, language revitalization, I think, plays a major key role in holding on to history, holding on to culture. And I, by no means, am an expert in my language or culture. I always say that I'm still learning, and I'm still going to be learning in 25 years. And part of the reason why I share what I learn is so that I can learn from others and provide something maybe they don't have access to, or they're trying to learn the language, and even offering that a silly children's song as a tool means so much. And I think it's very important, which is why I try to share as much as I can um, with the knowledge that I have.
Mm-hmm. Great answer, Becky, for sure. Okay, I think that was our last question. Becky, I love you to death for everything that you do, for the kids, the books you're writing, the work you do. You're an inspiration and a mentor, and that's amazing for anybody that wants to just listen to Becky when she's doing her songs, her storytelling. And I would definitely look Becky up on YouTube. I'm sure you're on YouTube, and she's got some amazing songs and stories to share. So Becky, once again, I'd like to thank you so much for being part of our DWF Live. Totally appreciate it, and it's an honor and a privilege to have you on the show here today. I'd also like to thank the Youth Ambassador Justina for doing our land acknowledgement this morning, and for the classrooms that are joining us live here in DWF. As I mentioned, we are broadcasting live every day this week at 12 a.m., 12 p.m., and 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we are also, like we all know, this is Secret Path Week. It's been going really well. It's going great. We had a lot of great artists come on our show, and it's just been just beautiful. There's so many of you out there that are just, like I said, to yourself, an inspiration to all our, and our youth, and also even to adults. You know what I mean? To me, even, like I'm telling you, just inspired. And so reconciliation is really important for for Canada, for everywhere actually, that working together and having us just have that interaction with what we're doing today with this segments is just beautiful. And this will continue on, I guarantee you. So we are really happy to have you here. Learn more about our secret path as well on our DWF live sessions by visiting our website, www.downeywenjack.ca/DWF live. We also have a short survey that will be dropped in the chat now. Please let us know what you thought about today's program and what you'd like to see in the future. The more shows we have, just tell us what you thought again, and these live events, what you thought about the live events, and what more we can bring in, and just let us know. And tomorrow I'm going to be live with Philip Cote, educator, knowledge keeper. He's also a historical cultural advisor. So don't tune in at 10 a.m. tomorrow. And if you enjoyed this broadcast, please feel free to share it with your family, your friends, or host a watch party. Thank you again, everybody, for joining in today. I thank you for all your comments, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Kinanaska Motana.